Yes, people, what's going on? Big up yourselves each and every time, and welcome back to Drifty TV. As you can see in the title, just want to quickly talk about the situation that's going on right now. The Premier League clubs are to vote on VAR. Now, obviously, what this means is if the majority want it to go, it will go. If the majority want it to stay, it will stay. Now, the crazy thing about this is I'm confused as to why we are still asking whether VAR is the problem. VAR stands for Video Assistant Referee. So when you really talk about VAR, you're talking about people. Yes, it's a system, right? It's as I said, a video assistant referee. So it is video technology assistance, but it is manned by a human, right? So when they're voting about taking away VAR, when they're saying that clubs are going to vote on whether they want to keep it or not, they're asking the wrong question. Now, when I say I have a problem with VAR, I'm talking about the people who run VAR. I don't know about other people, but I can only speak for myself. And that is what my problem is. The people who do the job aren't good enough. They're just not good enough. There's no two ways about it. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. They are not good enough at their job. So when they say scrap VAR, they're talking about getting rid of the ability to have VAR. When really what we should be doing is we should be talking about the people who control the VAR, the people who have the power, the head of the PGMOL and everything around that. And how about we scrap you lot? How about we get rid of you lot? Because as crazy as it may seem, or as contradictory as this may seem, I don't like people losing their jobs, but it gets to a point where if you're not good enough, you have to go. That's just how it is. In every walk of life, there's not one professional place on the planet where you can continuously be bad at your job. And yeah, they get criticism, but they just continue to be allowed to do it. We had a linesman elbow a Liverpool player, Andy Robertson, in the face and get away with it. I think he got 1 week suspension. I don't even know if he was paid during that suspension. He might even have been paid during that suspension. He got a 1 week suspension and then was back. And it is irrelevant what the punishment was. If it wasn't being fired, it wasn't a good enough punishment. And I'm using the standards of the world there. That's not my personal opinion. I'm using the standards of the world. In what line of work, other than mixed martial arts or boxing, maybe, which is obviously a combat sport, so maybe they give a blight for that type of stuff. Plus, you're technically self-employed in those industries as well. If you elbow somebody tomorrow at work, you can't come back. You're never allowed back to work. But for some reason, this linesman was. He's protected. Every single person knows it is impossible for you to continually make mistakes at work and keep that job. You get one, maybe two. That's why they even call it strikes, right? Some workplaces don't even give you free strikes, but there's a thing called strikes. And there's a certain amount of times you can make mistakes and then it will be okay. You've got to go now, no matter where you go, from retail all the way up to the professional world of like finance, banking, and that kind of like it just any aspect of life. So why are we talking about VAR? Why are we talking about getting rid of VAR? Why are we not talking about just getting rid of everybody who works within the PGL or MOL or however you can say it? And how about we talk about just actually starting all over again? Because if I'm being completely honest with you, the incompetence or the cheating is out of control now. It really is out of control. They're going to potentially get rid of something, and then what are we left with if they get rid of it? And I mean, I'm not even gonna say people won't vote for it because there's a lot of people unhappy with VAR. So we can't even actually, because I know a lot of people are thinking, nah, it won't happen. We don't know. There are a lot of unhappy people with VAR. But here's the wickedest thing. You know what VAR does? VAR gives you a slight chance that the right decision can be made. Because, for example, the offsides, even though I see some dodgy ass lines, or I see a lot of quick decisions where they probably didn't even draw some lines, which again goes back to the individuals operating it. Offsides for about 70%, let's say, minimum, maybe higher, are now correct, which is something we do want in football. And that means that we wouldn't have that anymore. But what it also would mean is the same referees are here though. So the people who were too incompetent to run the VAR will now be running the game without VAR. I'm gonna call your Coops, your Tierneys. These men are just ridiculous when it comes to how many mistakes they make during games or how much bias they show during games. And now you want me to have to watch football with nobody in their ear and nobody to back up their poor decisions. Nobody. Nobody. Let's take, for example, the decision that went against Liverpool. And I'm only using Liverpool here because it's just easier. There's been plenty of other clubs. When Doku kicked McAllister in his chest and Liverpool should have been given a penalty against Man City in the dying minutes, and we win that game if we score that penalty. Referee on the field says no penalty. Now, VAR was supposed to turn that around, and this is where the incompetence comes from. But the referee didn't give it. VAR didn't like overturn that decision. They were just checking to make sure the ref hadn't made a mistake because the ref said no penalty. He was looking right at it. And that decision will become a super regular thing if the referees don't have VAR. I told them they're wrong. And we will be sitting here even more angry than we are with VAR because do you know what VAR does? It gives us a sense of understanding that there's something going wrong here. Whereas without VAR, the referees get to keep having the excuse, oh, they're human. Oh, he missed it. It happens in a split second. Anybody can miss it, like it was for all the years before. And I know we got by for decades with that being the situation, but there were a lot of terrible decisions that were made during that time. There were, we have to be honest. And that was the reason why VAR was introduced. So, how about this? Premier League. I don't know exactly how you would go about doing this because I'll be honest, I haven't done my full research on it. I didn't have time to do my full research on it while bringing you this video while this information is fresh. So I probably will go away and have a look at it. But whoever is actually in charge of picking the referees, whether it be it's the Premier League and then they employ the PGMOL and then they're the people who hire the referees, obviously within that agency, whether it's an independent body outside the Premier League, you know, like you have like USADA who do the drug testing, who have got nothing to do with the UFC or Bellator. Um, but they, you know, but they make sure there's nothing. Is there an independent situation where outside of the Premier League, they're the people who appoint who is the officials? I don't know. Let me know in the comments, people. I'll do some research on it. But whoever it is who's in charge, those people need to look at the situation. And instead of the Premier League asking clubs to vote whether they want to keep VAR, how about we just get rid of the referees who are literally terrible at their job and treat them like normal human beings? They get paid way too much money to make this many mistakes. And it isn't just one club. I know from a personal point of view, I know Liverpool were targeted this season. You can call us crybabies, you can say whatever you want. It's a fact, and wait till it happens to your club and then you'll get it. We were targeted this season by referees and we were heavily biased for the negative. There are so many occasions this season when the referee made it clear he was being biased against Liverpool. But it's not just us. Go and ask Nottingham Forest. Go and ask Bournemouth, go and ask all these clubs, and they will tell you the refereeing was either A, biased or it was shocking. Why do so many referees in England come from Manchester? Is that not a conflict of interest? Seriously, there's no way you can grow up in the city of Manchester and not have some form of hate, bias, love towards Manchester clubs. It's impossible. I grew up in London. I hate London clubs because everyone around me supports them. So I have a bias naturally. I wouldn't be allowed to have a refereeing situation where I'm refereeing any game that has anything to do with a Liverpool, with a London team. And I'll be honest with that. And that's why I could never be a ref. I could even be refereeing, say, Manchester City versus Bournemouth, and there's nothing to do with England, with London teams within that. But if Man City are going up against Arsenal or going up against Chelsea, or you get my drift in a title race, I don't know if I'd be able. I'd want to be as professional as I could, but maybe my bias will kick in, and I'll be like, Chelsea win the league if I give this penalty. Oh man, this is a big decision. Maybe I'll bottle it. Who knows? But this is a situation. So why are so many referees from Manchester? But it's just crazy to me that we're talking about the equipment, we're talking about the system, the computer part of VAR, and acting like that's the problem, when the problem is clearly the people operating it. And it is amazing to me that these people continue to be employed and get paid a lot of money, because I've done research on this in the past, and Premier League referees get over £100,000 a year, which is peas. To the average working man, to earn over £100,000 a year is big, big money. And I'm sure, if I'm not, if memory doesn't mess me around, it's somewhere between 100 to 150, because they were made professional. Remember, there was once upon a time when referees had to have like jobs and or part-time jobs, or referees were teachers and doctors and dentists and stuff like that. But it got to a point where they realized the game was too big, there's too much money in it, and referees were made professional. And it could be, in order to make them professional, they upped their wages massively. Um, so Premier League referees earn a considerable amount of money. And when you earn that much money, you should not be allowed to be that bad at your job. When you earn that much money, you should not be able to get away with so many bad decisions. It is ridiculous to me. It's absolutely ridiculous to me. I couldn't even work in retail and make 4 mistakes within 1 day without being called in and being given a disciplinary. And that's retail. That is the most basic level of job ever. I was 16, 17, 18 when I used to do that. It's like your first step into the working world. No disrespect to anyone who works retail, obviously, but it is your first introduction to the working world for the most part. 16, you leave school, you go and get a retail job. And I couldn't even make 3 or 4 mistakes in a day. But damn it, I couldn't even make 3 or 4 mistakes in a week, in a month, without being given a disciplinary. And these men can make 5, 6, 7 mistakes per game, week in, week out. I don't get it. So stop asking the clubs whether they want to keep VAR. And how about we get rid of the people who are incompetent, who are poor, who are biased, who are whatever it is? And how about we just start again? How about we bring in a whole bunch of new referees? Make sure you do your due diligence on them to understand where they're from, who they support. Make sure you get the truth. I don't care how or whatever, but get as close to the truth as possible, and make sure that these referees have absolutely nothing to do with the people who are playing. If Liverpool are playing Arsenal in a Premier League title deciding football match, I don't think anybody should be involved in that match who is from London, who is from Liverpool, who is known to support Arsenal or Liverpool, or anybody around them, or anyone who hates them, or anything. Can't be a Manchester United fan or a Chelsea fan or a Tottenham fan and be involved in Arsenal versus Liverpool. You're going to have bias. As close as possible as you can to making sure there's a system involved, that there's enough employees, that you can distribute people around so there won't be any bias during games, and just make sure that these people do their job. Make sure they're tested, make sure that they're constantly put on courses, make sure they always know what they're doing, and just get it right. How can every other industry, for the most part, get who they hire right, and those people make the majority of the time right decisions? But for some reason, in one of the biggest industries in the entire world, money-wise and sporting-wise and viewing-wise, popularity-wise, whatever. And these people are so bad at their job. It's crazy. I didn't even think this video would be this long, but like it's getting to me as I'm making this video. It's madness, people. It's actually madness. So let me know in the comments what you think, people. Really appreciate you lot taking the time to watch this video. Big up your damn selves each and every time. And yeah, it's Catch My Drift. It's Drifty TV. For everybody who doesn't think that it's the people who run VAR and it's VAR itself.
You need psychiatric evaluation.
And I'll catch you on the next one, people. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe, and down below, people, let me know your comments on what is perspiring here with the possibility of the VAR being removed. It's mad, isn't it? It's crazy. I'm out, people. Peace.